just support Tom!
We're going to see a familiar deck, and, well, a familiar deck if you come to the store, but a non-meta deck battling it out at 2-0 this round.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Like we said, it's kind of a slugfest right now at post-ban. Everybody's bringing out all their best brews right now. And so we have Kyle on Dimir Mill Control versus Willow on Rakdos Midrange.
Yeah, so we are going to wind up having the Rakdos deck. No Sorin. Probably no Vein Ripper either. I'm not a big proponent of playing Vein Ripper if you're not going to be able to play it ahead of the curve in some way, shape, or form. And Kyle is going to be bringing a different flavor of his Dimir Mill deck to the table, which is going to be something a little bit more controlling shell. And I heard that there's some dig-through times in this list.
Did they just rock, paper, scissors for what form of dice rolling to decide?
I think they are just truly deciding how random they are going to decide who goes first.
Willow won by 1.
All right, I guess that's the kind of game it's going to be. We heard the timer beep in the background to start everything off, so we have 50 minutes of gameplay with Rakdos Midrange, Sans Vampires, or, still has some, but Sans Sorin going to be on the play.
Yeah. Oh, turn 1 Thoughtseize.
All right, well, I guess some things don't change.
Yeah,
we get to see everything that Kyle is doing this game, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think Willow probably wants to take Crab here, but if she doesn't, I think Kyle might run away with this game, honestly.
I mean, there's 2 crabs, a dig through time, and a drown in the lock. So I think the drown in the lock is also very appetizing here, because if you play crab and then follow up with land crab, you're probably never casting a spell through the drown in the lock.
Yeah, honestly. Oh, Willow is taking the drown here. Oh, maybe not.
Really contemplating it, because there's also a dig through time. Dig through time, of course, is a very scary card. You're not enabling it with fetch lands, but you're still basically saying Kyle gets to take one of the best cards from his deck, basically.
Yeah. It's definitely a tough decision. Because funny thing here is Kyle actually doesn't have that many other mill shall we say, outlets aside from Crab and Jace, the Perfected Mind.
Yep.
So, getting rid of 1 Crab early here is actually kind of important.
I mean, this does kind of signal that Willow might have a Fatal Push or something in her hand as well. That would kind of shut off the double Crab and just leave Kyle with a whole lot of nothing in hand. But no, just a Croxa. This is something. Kyle's saying it's been so long. What does this card do?
Oh, look, it's Rakdos Scam again. Discard a card, lose life. Discard a land,
all right,
take 3 life.
3 life. But most importantly, this means that the Rune Crab's going to live. So Willow is going to wind up milling a bunch of cards here, and that will enable the escape clause from Croxa, but we are still 2 turns away from that.
Yeah, and also, it does mean that Drown in the Lock is live here.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing here is, okay, so there is an interesting interaction, though, because if Willow just goes like land pass, land Croxa, Drown in the Lock will kind of be in an interesting spot, but Croxa is a 2-mana spell, so if Kyle just mills with another land, which we know he has in hand, that Croxa can still be countered by the Drown in the Lock.
Yeah, so, well, Willow's playing something out here. Oh,
Bone Crusher Giant. Wow.
On the adventure side.
I feel like I haven't seen a lot of these cards in so long.
Oh, Drowned in the Lock on the Bone Crusher, yeah.
Okay, so that's an important target here. So getting rid of the Bone Crusher Giant and kind of denying any sort of early clock here. So if Willow does just have land Croxa, Kyle might have to try to contend with that, but maybe has an answer that he's thinking of already using.
I also see the Meat Hook Massacre in Kyle's hand right now. Land coming in.
All right. Ooh, hits a Sheoldered off of that mill as well, so that's a pretty solid use there. And now we also have the ability to kind of Field of Ruin and mill again, and that will probably be what winds up happening here. So Willow, see if Willow winds up having a basic mountain in her list. Instead, winds up finding a swamp. So land, red land from this point in time would be what could escape the Croxa. but now Willow kind of, is going to wind up grabbing the mountain here, because that is usually the harder of the two. Because this is the Rakdos Midrange deck, the more traditional version, is basically like 75-80% black, and the rest of it is Fable, Bloodtide Harvester, and these Bone Crusher Giants.
Yeah, so definitely. Sorry, I stopped talking because I was watching. So, yeah, definitely. Willow trying to open up the different decision trees here as far as having that Croxa in the grave will definitely kind of make things a little bit difficult for Kyle. Not having enough card draw in the Pioneer version of Mill. Definitely not the easiest thing to try and draw more cards and get more card advantage. So being able to shut Kyle off of a lot of that stuff, I think is where Willow wants to be at. Try and put him on the back foot, not having any answers for anything, and then push through for the answer. Yeah, 1 blue mana open. I don't think we'll be able to deal with Croxa right now. Meat Hook Massacre discarded here.
No surprise there, but now we got a 6/6 that can just do it again every single time that Willow decides to attack. The turn gets passed over to Kyle. Do have a Hall of Storm Giants in hand, so that will be another mill trigger from this Rune Crab. And we are kind of getting to the point where about a third of Willow's deck has been milled over, so she might be kind of in a difficult spot where we already saw Shieldred, we saw, I think, a Graveyard Trespasser, a couple of other cards that have already been milled into her graveyard, and now we might just be on, like, this Croxa is our main damage engine because we might not have enough creatures remaining in our deck at some point.
Yeah, honestly, these Titans are all super powerful. Oh, Thoughtseize coming out again. But Croxa, I think, is the most tame of the 3 Titans we've seen so far. Uro, as you know, multi-format All-Star got banned immediately in all set formats.
Yeah, that family has a lot of All-Stars in it. That's kind of like saying, like, all right, you are, you're you, and like your family members are like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a lot to live up to for sure. As you know, Flage, Titan of Fire's Fury, very wrecking Modern right now in many different decks.
Ooh, Kyle here did dig through time in response to the Thoughtseize, so that's going to reveal Drown in the Lock, and Field of Ruin, so that will be a Drown in the Lock that gets hit. But now Willow has to contend with the fact, okay, so there is a third Thoughtseize here. That gets the remaining Drown in the Lock, and Croxa attacks and forces Kyle to discard that land, so that's going to be another 3 damage coming across as well. And then 6 from the Croxa if it connects.
Yeah.
Ooh, Willow just kind of has everything.
One.
So this is going to be Kyle going all the way down to 8 off of this. So that was a huge sequence of events. Yeah, like 20-something cards got milled over, but there were 3 Thoughtseizes, a Fatal Push, and a Croxa, and that's just going to be Kyle scooping it up. Game number 1 goes over to Willow and the Sorin-less Rakdos deck.
Yeah, honestly, that matchup definitely could be a lot better for Kyle if he didn't see Croxa so early. It is kind of a double-edged sword where he's actively filling the grave and helping out the Croxa plan there a little bit. So, not letting Willow play it early would definitely be where he wants to be at. But at the same time, I think in the sideboard, it makes the matchup a lot more reasonable for him. He's able to bring in stuff like Soul Guide Lanterns and other graveyard hate that I think will really be what helps clinch this matchup here. But I think we have both of their deck lists here, so maybe let's see if we can pull it up.
Yeah, we definitely have Willow's deck list that I have all loaded up, so we're going to pull that one up. So even though Willow did wind up winning game number 1, we're going to see what she's packing from the sideboard over here. So that is going to be the updated post-ban Rakdos Midrange list. So we are going to see more of the traditional style of cards. We do see in the main deck actually packing a copy of Shoot the Sheriff. So that is going to be the destroy target non-outlaw creature, which is important for some of these cards to be coming into play. I mean, some warlocks and stuff like that are in the format. Specifically rogues as well can't be targeted by that. But it's going to also just be a bunch of just standard good Rakdos stuff, including some main deck Reckoner Bankbusters.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think Willow wants to bring in most of this stuff, to be honest. Bankbuster maybe, Duress maybe. Not Curse? Probably not, unless she wants to start eating her own grave. Ashiok looks pretty bad. Path to Peril doesn't line up with anything. EE doesn't really line up with anything.
Maybe just the duresses if you're putting Kyle on the more control-y style plan that he is on right now. So the duresses could be something that you wind up seeing coming in from the sideboard, but yeah, nothing else that could really be something that Willow might want to bring in. Maybe you bring in a Licensed Hearse if you think Kyle has any sort of graveyard shenanigans. You did reveal Dig Through Time in game number 1, so you know that the delve mechanic is in Kyle there.
That is true. Being able to combat that, put Kyle on the back foot a little bit, I think, is definitely what Willow wants to do here. Because, like we like to call Mill, it's kind of the blue slow burn. Even if you do nothing, you're still technically taking a third of a damage every turn.
What is it the Japanese Mill player on Moto calls it? Library attack?
Yeah.
But what is...
technically library kill?
Yeah, library kill. That's what it is, library kill. But what is the Dimir library kill control deck looking to bring in this specific matchup?
Well, Kyle did send me his list before. He's got Ashioks, he's got Change the Equation, Cut Down, Disputes, Narsets, Path of Peril, Bankbuster, Licensed Hearse, and Thoughtseize. So he's actually not on Soul Guide Lanterns here, but Hearses will probably be very strong here. Just purely as graveyard hate. I don't actually know if he has any way to crew them. Oh, he has one Eddie Merc crab, so...
Okay, so he's got a different crab in his list that you could potentially crew with, and you have Hall of Storm Giants if that eventually winds up being bigger than the regular one. But looks like turn 1 Thoughtseize from Kyle this time around reveals a fistful of lands, a Blood-Tithe Harvester, and Shieldred.
Wow, it's definitely Shieldred here, I think.
I mean, I guess it depends what Kyle has in hand, because if you're able to deal with that Shieldred at some point in time within the next 3 turns, you could just leave Willow with nothing in hand.
That is true. Blood-Tithe Harvester is an early clock, and he doesn't have a way to deal with it. It's kind of worse than Shieldred.
Unfortunately, Kyle's hat has taken the focus over from our camera, so those are all 5 lands on the bottom side here. Looks like a Surveil land, a couple of Black Cleave Cliffs, and a Blood Crypt, but it is going to be Shieldred that winds up being the one that's taken here. And we do wind up having the Theater coming in just to surveil away a 6th land from Willow's library. All right, so no immediate action to be taken against this oncoming Blood-Tithe Harvester, and that is just going to be turn 2, getting a blood token from the side of Willow.
Okay, no response here, so no Fatal Push, I guess?
Okay,
no,
there's a just waiting for everything to kind of line up there. So now Kyle gets to untap, has a very reactive hand, but now kind of leaves Willow with nothing. And ooh, Jace wasted mine. Here we go.
Taking damage to get it in early, but Jace can kind of run away with this game here, I think.
This is kind of the main appeal to running this as a bit of a control mill hybrid deck, because this Jace will eventually be able to just kind of completely close out the game against Willow, but is also going to be able to find some things for yourself. But Willow top decking a Fable of the Mirror Breaker is going to put a break on the Jace doing a lot of stuff planned for a little while, as it needs to protect itself against this Goblin Shaman.
1 mana. Oh, Thoughtseize again. Did Willow draw anything relevant? Oh, I don't even know what that was, but it was the only non-land.
Immediately goes to the graveyard because of being the only non-land, like you said. So good Thoughtseize there by Kyle. So Willow has been able to rip land into land. It looks like Kyle did wind up shocking in at some point, going down to 14 here as the players are tracking life totals on the side, and we're just kind of updating them. We are going to wind up pitching 2 cards to this Fable of the Mirror Breaker, though, so 2
it's
away.
It's not shock, it's the Phyrexian mana off of Jace.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I thought we didn't miss a shock here.
The good old completed mechanic, and it looks like Duress coming out from Willow here, so now we get to see what Kyle's working with. Looks like there's a land and a Crypt Incursion.
Oh, no. You hate to see it. Crypt Incursion, I think, would have kept Kyle in this game forever.
I mean, I think it's interesting that we both could recognize Crypt Incursion, but Secrets of the Key escaped both of us in round number 1.
Yeah, I know, right? I see this card too much. I dabble in mill on the side, so... Crypt Incursion being able to exile everything in Willow's grave, being able to get rid of Croxus, but also just gaining a ton of life for every creature card exiled definitely helps pad Kyle's life total if he was able to cast it.
All right, so this is interesting because Willow has discarded so many of her lands that she no longer had a 4th land drop, trying to just find action to fight Kyle's deck. Pitched a land to a blood token as well, but Kyle now is going to be able to get a little bit aggressive, activating Hive of the Eye Tyrant, going to be able to exile away some sort of card from Willow's graveyard, maybe looking at the Sheoldred or something that might be potentially brought back by something, but the Rakdos deck has no way to really interact with that, and instead just going to swing in for 3, hit Willow down the center.
I mean, Willow needs to get another attacker here, because even if, you know, she has infinite mana off of these treasure tokens, Jace ticking up every single turn, I think will just be lethal soon. Right now at 6, it'll mill 18 cards.
Okay, so we're going to have 4 mana, so an activation of Hive of the Eye Tyrant of her own. That's going to
no.
threaten Jace here.
These will hit this, not that this matters.
Oh, damn. Hive coming out too. Jace going down to 3. Unfortunate.
Oh, that's fine. Is it a miss?
Oh, the
happens
Fable
when
the
you miss
Mirror
the
Breaker
Fable?
should have flipped. I don't believe you can miss the Fable the Mirror Breaker flip. That will just be rectified. So.
Yeah, it
Moving it
also
over.
doesn't change the board state any, so I think we're okay to just keep going. Minusing Jace, mill some cards, draw a card. I think that's how desperate Kyle is right now.
Yeah, he's hit the coveted sweet spot for this Jace, the Perfected Mind. That is not the one I wanted to hit. There we go. So now the -2 is going to be milling 3, and then since there are 20 or more cards in Willow's graveyard, Kyle gets to draw 3.
Is that deduce?
That was a deduce.
I don't know those.
So there's a clue token coming out there as well.
It's a different set.
Kyle just grabbing his own clue token instead of using
This
the
is
ones
what
we
we
have
know
on the
we're
side. Maybe Kyle helped set this stream up, and he's still using his own token.
I mean, he can do what he wants.
All right, but he is going to sit here and actually can't activate his own Hive of the Eye Tyrant to block with. So this Jace doesn't look like it's long for this world.
Unfortunately, and he did minus, so the Goblin Shaman is going to be cracking in for damage here too. I am curious if Willow wants to copy the Goblin Shaman or she wants to Hive, but she does want to Hive here.
Yeah, that's just 1 extra damage, and I think trying to finish Kyle off as soon as possible. This is threatening 7
There's a
damage.
treasure there,
Chase,
though.
this at you.
Could have sacked.
Attack.
I guess that's a little too greedy, but
It protects the goblin, the flipped reflection at Kiki Jiki from actually entering combat, but gets rid of potentially mana 5 and 6 if you need that for your list.
Both of these.
But all right, so one of them is going at Jace, so that is going to eat up some of the damage. That is just going to be 5 coming at Kyle. So the
3 actually.
3,
Looks
okay.
like Willow sent both of the goblins at Jace just in case Kyle had any sort of removal there.
Okay, so that actually eats up 5 damage from Kyle's side. So this is no longer a 2-turn clock. It is now a 3-turn clock from Willow swinging in. So Kyle has plenty of time to try to dig for something, but it looks like he has only found lands.
Ooh. You hate to see it, unfortunately.
Usually good if you have a Ruin Crab on your side.
Yeah, unfortunately no crabs this game. The main, shall we say, game plan of the deck, Ruin Crab, not showing its face this time around.
So we have Otawara, and we do have this Castle Vantress that we can play. So Otawara can do some interesting things like bouncing the Goblin Shaman so it's gone forever. We can do some things like, if we want to reset the Fable, we can bounce the Fable, but I don't think that's exactly what we want to do. And Kyle, looking at his sideboard and reading Reckoner Bankbuster. So I'll pull that one up too so we can read alongside with him, but I don't entirely know why he would be reading that.
Yeah, I'm a little confused too, to be sure.
But potentially looking at that is like a way out and seeing what the crew cost is. That might be something that he's looking for here. This Otawara in hand could wind up being pointed at something on Willow's side. pre-combat, but we'll have to see because unfortunately, like we said, Kyle literally flooding out right now.
Yeah, Kyle flipping his cards back and forth. He does have a blocker in Hive of the Eye Tyrant, but it doesn't seem like Willow has any good plays here either. One card in hand and she's thinking real hard about it.
Okay, the Bank Buster was the
Oh,
card that
that's
is
a
on the
Bank
bottom
Buster.
side. Okay, I thought those were the treasure tokens. But that is a Reckoner Bank Buster that we missed a turn or two earlier. So that is what Kyla was reading his sideboard Bank Buster for. And it looks like it's just going to be draw a card, pass the turn over here from Willow. Doesn't want to attack into the open mana.
Castle Vantress activating here for Kyle, trying to find an out. It's a good activation there because I think that was a land and a deduce. So
Yeah, that's probably not where you want to be at if you're Kyle. You probably want to be looking for like your dig through times. You might want to be looking for some sort of board wipe right now if you have that available to you. Did see Meat Hook Massacre in game number 1. I believe there's Deadly Cover-Ups as well, which Kyle just drew.
oh, very good card here.
You know, there's usually like caster curses where you say something bad and then it happens to the player. This is a caster blessing.
Yeah, exactly. You know, see, we're not all bad.
But now Kyle has a difficult decision of do we pull the trigger on this Deadly Cover-Up and do we just board wipe these two right here and try to get rid of a card with collecting evidence? Or are we once again playing defense?
I think he wants to try and wipe here. Well, it's a little bit hard to say. It's not great, but I think he does want to board wipe here and try and strip something out of Willow's deck.
Can I read that?
That will hopefully limit the amount of plays Willow has. Yes, there's still a Bank Buster on board and the Hive, but it does mean that she's only attacking with one, not both.
And then you can always Otawara, Bank Buster. Sure, it resets the counters and Willow can just replay it, but if you don't have any answer to it, you can kind of do that. And looks like Deadly Cover-Up is going to be targeting Shieldred for the extraction effect. I was wondering if it was going to be that or if it was going to be Fable the Mirror Breaker.
Yeah, I would have thought it was Fable, but I guess at the same time, like, Shieldred is a lot more punishing right now on this board state. It can pretty much single-handedly run away with it.
So you're going to get to see a quick fan through Willow's deck, see if we notice any of these cards that came in from the sideboard besides the Reckoner Bank Busters, and
I said it was lying.
doesn't
I can't
look
see
like
anything.
It looks like just the Reckoner Bank Busters. We also get to see copies of cards in Willow's hand, which I think is another Fable of the Mirror Breaker and
Bitter Triumph.
Bitter Triumph, so a removal spell. So answer for a potential Jace that is not going to be followed up this turn, but also more importantly, a Fable of the Mirror Breaker to rebuild the board that Kyle just board wiped.
Yeah, you hate to see it, unfortunately. I think both targets were... Oh, Thoughtseize.
All right, so top deck Thoughtseize here from Willow. Goes down to 15. Think Kyle is just going to reveal 2 lands.
Oh, no. You hate to see it. You hate to see it.
So we have Fable Passage, Otawara. So we unfortunately can't use the Otawara this turn, so we'll probably... Okay, so with the Fable the Mirror Breaker coming out, we're not taking 4 damage. We are, however, going to have to deal with a Goblin Shaman token, which we can get rid of for forever if we want to with the Otawara, but we'll have to worry about Hive of the Eye Tyrant versus
Oh,
Reckoner Bank
no.
Buster.
It was another land. Kyle really not having good luck on stream here, unfortunately.
Not able to Castle Vantress that turn either to fix the draws.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Is that a land or is that an Ashiok?
I-
Ashiok would be game. Lantern would not be game.
I mean, if it was Ashiok, he would have cast it, I believe. I think it's another Watery Grave. The Ravnica Remastered Borderless art.
That's what it is. All right. I'm gonna say all these special artworks are messing with my head here, and so it is going to just be crack in on Willow's turn with this Goblin Shaman token, creates a treasure, and
Oh.
another Fable of the
You hate
Mirror
to see it.
Breaker.
You know, we were talking about Fable as a possible target for Deadly Cover-Up earlier, and unfortunately, this is one of those times where you're like, oh, I should have done the other one.
Well, is Kyle packing Legion's End in his deck at all to get rid of all of these Goblin Shamans at the same time? We did see Meat Hook Massacre.
We did
so
see Meat Hook Massacre.
we are going to be able to Fabled Passage here to shuffle the library, find ourselves a land. hand. We can Castle Vantress then to scry, look at the top cards of our library. Of course, the Meat Hook Massacre will also be something that can recoup a little bit of this lost life from Kyle's side as well.
He changed his list again without telling me. The one I'm looking at doesn't have Meat Hook Massacre, but we did clearly see it on stream.
Yeah, we did see it in game number 1, and this is a potential out from this standpoint because whenever something you control dies, you'll wind up gaining life, but when your opponent's stuff dies, you'll wind up pinging them. So if you Meat Hook Massacre,
Alright, bench.
board. What do we got?
Oh no, land.
Is that a 3 steps ahead?
I think so.
All right, so bottom.
I mean, seriously, the man has put away so many lands at this point. Odawar on the Bank Buster.
All right.
Activate the Bank Buster.
So that does get rid of one of these 4 damage threats. So upgrading the Hive of the Eye Tyrant into a 4/4, which would put Kyle down to 1. And okay, 3 steps ahead is the draw again. Now, 3 steps ahead can represent drawing extra cards from Kyle's side, too. The downside is that it can only create token copies of things that you control, so you can't really use it to create a token and block with at this point.
Yeah, let's see it. He does still have the Hive as a blocker.
And we have double Fable, the Mirror Breaker on Willow's side, though. So we're going to have a flip, and we're going to have a Rummage effect coming out. Looks like the flip is happening first. Then we get to see if Willow wants to discard any cards and draw some response. Looks like just keeping whatever's in her hand, so got everything that she needs right now.
Triple Dotsies.
That would be game number 1. Oh, okay, no, so was deciding. So still in the tank on that one. Decides to discard 2, draws 2 off of the Fable, the Mirror Breaker. All right, Duress. So Kyle's going to have to pull the trigger on this 3 steps ahead.
I mean, it does not feel good, but he's got to use his mana here, I think. Otherwise, it's just gone.
I mean, you're going to draw 2, then discard a card, so you can draw 2.
Yeah, so 5 mana.
You could counter this Duress, too, if you want to.
I think he is going to counter his. Draw 2, discard 1. Oh, there's a crab. Unfortunately, the crab is super late, but I see a drown in the lock.
Okay, so we're not out of it yet. Crab represents a blocker for at least one of these Fable the Mirror Breaker tokens for an almost infinite number of turns, as long as Kyle can reduce the number of things on board. And Drown in the Lock is a removal spell for any sort of follow-up play or for a reflection if you need to.
Yeah. Oh, Hive coming in.
Yeah, but next turn you're gonna give me that. So yours is the deadest you've ever had.
May wind up needing to slow Drown in the Lock on this Hive of the Eye Tyrant as well, because this is the biggest thing on the battlefield right now.
Yeah, and it does blow up a land.
Okay.
Pretty relevant here. We know there's a Bank Buster in hand.
What is that? Do I have to check? Text?
Actually, that element doesn't have a counter.
So Hive of the Eye Tyrant does wind up getting Drown in the Lock. And then we get the 2 treasure tokens being made, and still Kyle's going down to 5.
Take 4.
All right. Big
One
top
turn.
deck here.
Big top deck here. He really needs a board wipe. Oh, Bank Buster coming in.
Oh, yeah, we get to replay the Bank Buster because we had the treasure tokens coming in here as well. So undoing Kyle's Odawara really quick.
Fatal Push.
Fatal Push and Rune Crab are not the worst. So depending on what happens here, okay, so we have a Rune Crab, we have a Hive of the Eye Tyrant as a blocker, and we have a Fatal Push. So we can survive, but we're not winning.
No, this is absolutely not where Kyle wants to be. Very heavily stuck on the back foot, 1 card in hand. I mean,
Is this the last Fable, the Mirror Breaker being cast too?
Like, trigger on the stand?
Oh, okay, no, this is
it's the flip. It's the flip. But I mean, let's see, cause
This is the loop, right?
if Kyle lets it resolve, the
I
next
have to be on
turn
end step so they all untap.
Willow is able to start looping all
so it will
the
make
reflections
it'll tap to make a copy, tap
and
to
make,
make a copy, tap to make a copy.
you know,
as much-
4
as
more
much mana as
attackers
I
for
have.
the next turn.
And then because I would do it on an end step, beginning of next end step.
Yeah,
So
well,
Kyle's debating if he wants to get rid of this reflection now. The downside is if Kyle gets rid of this reflection now, you can use it and a shaman token to crew your bank buster, and then Kyle has to block and go to 1, or loses crab and go to 3.
yeah. Nothing looks good for him right here.
Target-
Oh, the Triumph coming out.
Oh, bitter triumph. Just throwing away 3 life to get rid of a rune crab. So that is going to mean that the coast is clear, and Willow might not even have to use the reflection of Kiki Jiki to do anything here. Just going to wind up attacking in with everything. Kyle now gets an opportunity to pull the trigger on this fatal push here, so
Killing 1 reflection.
and we can trade up a shaman token for this Hive of the Eye Tyrant.
Yeah.
Full blocks.
Oh no, another piece of removal.
Resolve these triggers.
Yeah, so it's all figures. And then block, full blocks.
Oh, another bitter triumph.
Triumph number 2. Kyle goes to 1 here.
And then no blocks damage.
All right, does Kyle have a second Crypt Incursion in his deck?
I don't know. I don't think so.
This is scary territory. I mean, we could wind up having another deadly cover. Meat Hook Massacre would be really good here. Kyle would survive, but then we're just a couple of flips away on this Bank Buster.
Oh no.
Oh,
Drown
that's
in the lock
drown
a
in the
little
lock.
late, I think.
And that's going to be good game. Willow is going to take the series 2-0. No Sorin needed from the Vampires deck, or at least now the Rakdos Midrange deck, in order to take down the Dimir Mill deck.
Yeah, I mean, Rakdos Midrange really showing why it just dominated the format before Vein Ripper was a thing. Even now, post Sorin ban, is still showing off why it was the premier deck before.